Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unscripted Access, episode number 111. You're here with your host, Nick McCandless. Finally back. On this week's show, we have Anthony Ta.
Hello.
And Bronson Fiore.
Sorry for the long break, everyone. Come watch me live stream.
All right, so we have a pretty news-packed show. We had the Game of the Year awards. We had PlayStation Experience. A lot of news to cover, so we're just going to head right into it. So Sony held their very first PlayStation Experience to celebrate their 20th anniversary. I can't believe it's been 20 years since
20 years of... Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute before we get into the experience. 20 years of PlayStation. Damn.
Yeah, it's... And who would I guarantee you, because obviously 20 years ago, gaming was not even close to where it is now. So... I can just see the conversations now. Yeah, we're going to release this video game console called the PlayStation, and it'll be a small part of our business for a couple of years, and then it'll die off. Turns out, PlayStation is like one of the very few divisions of Sony that's still profitable. And Sony's come out and said...
Oh, man, that was... Just think about it. Sony, what was it? Like, in 2013, when we were at CES, and they were just coming out with 4K TVs for 13 grand each, Sony was losing huge money. Like, a lot of money. You couldn't tell from their booth, obviously, but it was just, their Vaio computer division was probably going to be gone.
Ericsson, their phones are mostly gone. Still are, in fact. There's, like, a couple of companies that sell them, but not really. No, it's, like, I feel as though the original PlayStation was a great system, and Sony did everything right with its launch, but they also benefited from Sega and Nintendo, especially Sega, fucking up in every humanly way possible.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, Sega had the Saturn, right?
Yeah, like, well, first off, Sega really pissed off their consumer base by making a million different add-ons for the Genesis. And then they come out with the Sega Saturn, and so I guess... So here's the big story behind the Sega Saturn at E3 versus the PlayStation at E3 in North America in '95. So this is after the Japanese launch, which is what we're celebrating this year right now. First off, they changed the architecture at the system at the last second because it was supposed to be a 2D system that focused on 2D with some 3D bits here and there. But the PlayStation was all focused on 3D. So they heard this and they changed the system at the last minute. It used this weird tri-core processor thing at the time. And one of those processors was just for audio, which was even weirder.
Here's something pretty interesting. Whenever you engineer computer hardware and then change it at the very last possible second, very likely it will go wrong. Because those things takes years to plan.
Well, here's the final part that'll make Anthony laugh. So, Anthony, as you know, 3D characters in video games are made of polygons.
Yes.
Not on the Sega Saturn, they weren't. They were made of quadrangles.
Quadrangles.
So
cubes.
They weren't made. So they weren't made with triangles. They were made with squares.
Cubes. Yes.
Squares and cubes. What is it like to program on that thing?
Anyway, not done. It was supposed to launch in September of '95. It was supposed to be Saturn Day. And all the third-party developers had their launch titles pegged for that day. Well, Sega comes out at E3 and says, actually, it's the price, it's $400, and it's out today. And what this does is it pisses off a bunch of retailers who didn't get them. Like the ones who didn't get any of them. It pisses off a bunch of third-party developers whose games aren't out at the launch and ready at launch. And it does upset some fans because at launch there are only 2 games to play. Sony, by contrast, comes out that same E3, says it's coming out in September, and then they go through the presentation, and then this guy just goes up on stage and says one thing, $299, and then walks off.
This is like $400 in 1995, right?
Yeah, and $300 in 1995, yes.
Wow. So you had a really expensive system that didn't have games on it that no one could make games for that you couldn't find in a store.
Well, you could find in a store, just not certain stores, which pissed off. Like KB Toys, you couldn't go to KB Toys.
KB Toys. A moment of silence for KB Toys.
Well, a moment of silence for a lot of stuff that died.
Yeah. But so not only that, but Sony was smart. They realized they didn't have much experience in games beyond making hardware for Nintendo consoles. Like they made the audio processor for the Super Nintendo. And so they went and signed as many third-party studios to deals and bought as many third-party studios as possible to make games for the PlayStation. That's how we ended up with Crash Bandicoot. That's how they ended up with Spyro the Dragon. That's how they ended up with a bunch of games. The real game that turned the thing was though is Nintendo didn't fuck up too hardcore. Like if the N64 had a CD drive instead of cartridge, things would have been a lot better for Nintendo. It was actually a pretty even fight from when the N64 launched in '96 to when to up until in '97 when Final Fantasy VII came out, and that just killed any momentum the N64 had because that game was so incredibly popular and so huge and just couldn't be done on the 64 because the PlayStation was using this new CD-ROM technology.
Really slow loading times. But you could hold 650 megabytes on it, whereas the Nintendo cartridge was like, what, maybe 32?
Like a high
and it was expensive.
N64 cart was
Here's something to put into perspective. Like, you think paying $60 for games today is expensive? Now imagine paying like $60, $70, or $80 for a cartridge game in 1998.
Yeah, that's one thing that was another advantage for the PlayStation back in the day, is its games were actually cheaper. Like, a standard N64 game was $50 to $60. A standard PlayStation game was $40 to $50. Yeah, and some of them were even $30. And then their greatest hits were cheaper too, because greatest hits for the PlayStation could scale as low as $15 at the time. Just Sony really did everything right, and Nintendo, while they innovated a lot, they fucked up on some key business choices, and then Sega was just wandering in the desert, starving to death. It's really interesting to see how Sony really took advantage of that. And also, I'm sure everyone knows the story, but you guys both know how the PlayStation came to be for Sony, right?
They were humiliated.
They were fucking humiliated by Nintendo. They were working on this project with Nintendo to make a CD drive for the Super Nintendo and make a Super Nintendo with a CD drive built in called the PlayStation. But Sony put in the contracts that they maintain all the rights to all the IP developed on the PlayStation, and Nintendo didn't want to do that, so they go behind Sony's back and partner with Philips. Sony comes out at CES and announces this big partnership with Nintendo, announces the Super Nintendo CD drive, and PlayStation, everything's going great. So Nintendo comes out at their event and says, "We don't know what they're talking about. We're partnering with Philips. Here's the real thing." And Sony is fucking humiliated. Ken Kutaragi goes to his boss and says, "No, we can still save this. We can launch our own game system. We can do this." And just because of how pissed off they are, management at Sony gave them the okay. So,
and look what PlayStation's become now. Like I said, one of Sony's very few profitable businesses.
I mean, PlayStation is it's a colossal success from a numbers viewpoint, because you think about it, you're talking about over 100 million PS1 sold, right?
100 million PS1s, 150 million PS2s. We'll probably get to 100 million PS3s someday.
What is it, currently 80 or 85 million PS3s? I didn't check the number.
I mean, I'll check right now.
Yeah, but
I don't think
it has been a huge success.
I don't think it'll get to 150, but it'll definitely get to 100.
I also think that another reason for Sony's success with the PlayStation is that they had a lot of financial backing to it, because Sony is it's a huge company. They made so many electronic stuff.
They owned the TV market. I mean, they have still
they made TVs, they made computers, they made Walkmans.
They were the TV company back in the day.
They were the audio company too. They made your stereo receiver for your home theater system. They made TVs. They made Walkmans. They made portable music players, which is the Walkman and that CD player thingy. they made a lot back then. Handycams, camcorders. Yeah, they sold a lot of stuff. I don't know if Sony Pictures was a thing back then, but it probably was around also.
Oh yeah, Sony Pictures has been around forever.
Yeah, like Sony is a huge company, so they have a lot of money. It's also kind of like how the Xbox managed to survive, as long as it
just
survived.
Microsoft just keep throwing money at it. It'll survive eventually.
Well, yeah, if it weren't for Halo, like I said, if it weren't for Halo, we wouldn't have an Xbox 360 and an Xbox One.
Yeah, probably not.
But yeah,
Halo sold that console.
Yeah, Halo was like kind of like what kept it alive, and they had to like shove the 360 out the door fast.
And
before
they got the Red Ring of Death, which was a disaster.
Oh, we can talk about that for a while.
But yeah, we're not gonna get into that. So, anyways, going back to Sony and the PlayStation. So, PlayStation's been around officially for over 20 years now, and Sony held their very first event in Las Vegas called PlayStation Experience. Sony hasn't confirmed, but they have made it seem like PlayStation Experience will be something that's done more on a consistent basis, which I think would be awesome because we have E3, and then now we have PlayStation Experience. However, I have a question for you guys. We've seen companies do this in the past. For example, Apple. Apple, they said, screw CES, screw all these big events. We're big enough. We're going to have our own events now. Do you think this is an indication that Sony and maybe we've already seen it with Nintendo. Nintendo's kind of backed out of E3 as well with the Nintendo Direct. Do you think we're going to see something where maybe Sony's making... Obviously, they'll be there next year at E3. But maybe 3-4 years down the line, Sony's not at E3 anymore, and all they're focused on is their events? Or do you think this is something they'll just be doing in addition to E3?
So. I don't know, because Microsoft used to do something like this addition to E3, which was called XO, whatever year it was. I think they did 05 to like 2010. So, I don't know. We'll see.
I think they will stick to it because from a press and publicity standpoint, at E3 you're fighting against maybe 100 different companies for news, and for someone like say us, we can't really cover 100 games at once. We just kind of have to like cherry pick which ones we can do. Whereas people like Apple, they just come out and say on this special day, no news is going to happen except Apple. And all people talk about is Apple. Like the day they unveiled the PlayStation 4, all people were talking about around me, the day after the PlayStation 4 was revealed, was just a PlayStation 4. And, there was no Apple product that was revealed that day. There was no games that, there was no third-party games that, that was competing against Sony for news. It was just all about the PlayStation 4 that day. And I feel like this is probably going to become a trend. Because, it's like when Nintendo Direct comes out. Nintendo Direct happens like 5 times a year or something like that with their big news. And what happens when Nintendo Direct comes out? All people talk about, at least on the gaming websites, is Nintendo. Here's what the video showed. Like, even little stuff that you normally don't care about, you kind of cared about because you kind of need some news.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with E3 is that usually these small announcements, they're kind of trash because everyone's focused on, these big exclusive Sony and Microsoft's announced, and there's so many other announcements that the little ones just get hidden.
Versus like this, like one of the announcements that came off of PlayStation Experience, like everyone's talking about Uncharted, and that makes every last bit of sense in the world. But some smaller games like Super Time Force got some time, and so did so did What Remains, so did No Man's Sky, so did The Forest. It's not just all the biggest of the big. Bastion on Beta, holy shit, I'm so excited for that.
The one concern I do see with events like this is that instead of one big place that you go to, which for us would be like E3, you probably are going to end up like traveling a lot more, which could make things more expensive for small,
us,
for like smaller press. You're traveling all over the country. Like the Sony event was in Vegas, and instead of like all your news happening in E3, so you only need to like make a trip like maybe once or twice a year. Now you're kind of like running all over the country because you have to cover Apple and Sony and Microsoft and Square Enix and EA and Konami. It's like it financially it kind of sucks for the journalists, but companies do it and you get news. Like, that whole day is yours. Kind of an advantage when you want to sell something.
I'd almost prefer E3 stay the way it is, but if it doesn't, the way I would like to see it is I would be fine with Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo having their own events, as long as all the other companies stay at one central place, being E3. And of course, Sony and Microsoft would be there. Maybe they just don't have they're just not having huge press conferences. But that's when we see like EA and Ubisoft. That's when they're having their press conferences, and then they're just showing all their games and stuff. Because E3 is just a blast. I think if you kind of separate events throughout the year, yeah, it's cool because you don't have to wait for that 1 week of the year. But like you said, from a media coverage standpoint, it just makes things really difficult.
I mean, obviously, if you're like some mega publication, probably not a problem because, you have like lots of ad revenue and that kind of stuff. But obviously, for a smaller, some smaller gaming media coverage division or a smaller gaming site, kind of sucks.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
But I definitely do think that this could be a trend that continues because,
even the Xbox One was announced outside of E3. The PlayStation 4 was announced outside of E3.
I just found that the way the Xbox One was unveiled was
events.
hilarious because they unveiled it like maybe about 2 weeks before E3, unveiled what appeared to be the worst gaming system ever, and then E3 was them trying to fix everything.
Yeah, they had a pretty good show. Like,
they did.
They had an awesome E3. I mean, it's just their reveal was awful, but
their review.
I kind of understand what they were saying. They were saying, okay, we're gonna obviously all tech websites are gonna be covering this, so we're gonna focus more on the general aspects of what this console can do, and then E3 for gaming, we're gonna focus on games. But as being mainly a game console, that reveal was absolutely atrocious.
I mean, it's like, we're going to, pitch this game console to investors, but they kind of have to realize that all of their fans and all the gaming enthusiasts would be watching it too. And if all I hear is TV sports and Call of Duty, what the hell? Is this all the system is? It just... Yeah, that review was terrible. Not to mention, it was just kind of like, what is this system even doing?
Yeah.
But that's a year and a half ago, actually.
Yeah, so
and here we are sitting here observing the Xbox One just fly over the sales charts.
Yeah, they definitely pushed it hard this holiday season, for sure, and the results are coming through. So let's focus on the PlayStation experience and the announcement. So they opened up the show with the very first gameplay reveal of Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Now, I will say this. It did not look as good as the trailer they showed at E3. I honestly didn't expect it to look that good, but it came pretty darn close. That game looks freaking unbelievable. What are your guys' thoughts on what they showed?
I think it was a good mix. Bloodborne looks neat. King's Quest.
Well, no, we're not going into. We're going on topic by topic. Focus on Uncharted. What do you think of Uncharted's gameplay reveal?
I liked a lot of what they showed. It looks like they learned a lot of lessons from The Last of Us in terms of gameplay. Because Uncharted was a very linear experience where it was very much, okay, I'm going to shoot all these dudes in this room, and then I'm going to move to a set piece and maybe some puzzle solving, and I'm going to go shoot more dudes.
Solving a puzzle that makes you look dumb.
No, it's solving a puzzle that is fucking baby town easy because it tells you how to solve it. Most of the time anyway.
Yeah, after if it sees you you haven't figured it out in 2 minutes, it's like, press this hint or whatever, and then it tells you pretty much what to do.
Yeah. So, it looks like they took some interesting lessons from The Last of Us in the sense that, okay, you can take a stealthy approach. Drake now has this Indiana Jones style rope, and I'm just like, guys, are you guys making it? I pretty much thought, okay, this is his most... You are just officially admitting that Nathan Drake is just today's Indiana Jones. Got it. I like the fact that they showed actual gameplay because there was a glitch on stage.
Oh, yes. That was awesome.
And it looks beautiful. This and Batman are two of them. If this and Batman actually look like what their gameplay trailers show, that is what we paid $400 or $500 for these consoles for. They look amazing.
Yeah, they look outstanding. Anthony, did you see the gameplay trailer?
I have not.
Oh man, Anthony,
I
you
didn't.
you slipping.
I actually did not watch any of PlayStation Experience. I just know one of the news topics that we're going to talk about a bit later.
Yeah, you've got to check out the gameplay trailer. It's about 15 minutes worth of gameplay, and
yeah.
Wow,
it's
that's a lot.
yeah. It was a long gameplay trailer. It's so amazing though. The melee looks a lot better. The shooting looks a lot better. Everything, and Nathan Drake's hair moves with the wind now. It's so crazy.
Oh, they figured that stuff out with Trust Effects a long time ago. Haven't you heard?
Yeah. Yeah. So Anthony, are you
Yeah,
a big fan
check
of...
out Hair, like the next Final Fantasy. Hair. Like, that was one of the things that was
Well, I remember that
highlighted
was a
about
big
Final
thing
Fantasy
with
13.
Heavenly. I remember that was a big thing with Heavenly Sword when Heavenly Sword came out with like the hair actually moving when you walk and run and stuff like that. That was a big thing. So
I also remember when the first Uncharted came out. It's like, oh, when he goes into the water, he's only partially wet, wherever he was actually standing, and when he gets out, he dries over time.
Well, I kind of like saw that with other games before, if I'm honest.
So,
yeah, but Anthony,
It
you a
just
fan of
happens to look better.
Uncharted? Anthony, you a fan of Uncharted?
I like Uncharted. I played most of the first game, liked it. Pretty cool story. It was just like the first Uncharted. I remember I borrowed my friend's PS3 back when they were still selling those really big nuclear bunkered engineered ones, and played in most of Uncharted 1. Found the story to be pretty awesome. The fact that you're going on this treasure hunting thing was pretty cool. Didn't play Uncharted 2 until I got my PS3, and that was like a year after. Freaking
that
amazing.
Game
Loved
the Game of the Year awards that year.
Loved the chase up the mountain. Loved the train scene. Loved how they did the story of it. It was just freaking amazing.
I really like some of that game's commentary. It's just like everything I touch turns to shit, and then the monk comforts him for a while, and then the monk ends up in their horrible fucking thing, gets tortured, and like you don't see him for like 4 hours of gameplay, and you see him finally again after he's been captured and tortured and whatnot, and he's like, "You were right about what? Everything you touch turns to shit."
It was great. I really liked Uncharted 2. It was just really it's a great thrill. Uncharted 3, I thought it was okay. It felt like a drag. I mean, I freaking love when you have to like escape like the ship with that giant broken glass on it, and then it eventually bursted, and then you have to freaking run out of a sinking ship.
Oh, that was amazing.
I freaking loved it. But before that, you spent like maybe half an hour fighting through an entire ballroom that somehow had enough enemies to populate a small town. It just felt tiring.
Yeah, like, I feel as though they focused more on making awesome set pieces with Uncharted 3 than focusing on making the gameplay engaging, which I hope they learned from The Last of Us and Uncharted 2, and their mistakes from Uncharted 3, that they go back to more of the 2 and Last of Us style of, okay, we get it, you don't want to fight through rooms and rooms and rooms and rooms and rooms and rooms of dudes. And that was my big complaint about that game. Like, that game placed second in the Game of the Year awards that particular year to Portal 2, and that was my main complaint with it, is like, that game drags so hard at points, and it's just painful. I still really enjoyed the game. I believe on my personal top 10 that year, it was still in the top 5, but it was still one of those cases of they really need to really need to make combat more engaging. So if you're gonna have that many fights, you don't give a shit because it's so much fun. One of the two.
Right.
Yeah, but I like Uncharted. I like it.
Yeah, Anthony, you have to watch it. It's crazy
I'm sure,
how good that game
I'm sure
looks.
I'm gonna get it on the PS4 because Naughty Dog does good stuff.
I mean, yeah, like Naughty Dog, their track record is amazing. Like you look at the Crash Bandicoots, the Jak and Daxters.
They're one of the very few companies that have yet to release any game that's like not amazing, pretty much.
Like I wasn't super in love with Jak X Combat Racing. I thought it was a good game. It wasn't great. And I think the first Crash Bandicoot is retardedly difficult at points, to the point of where it's not even fun to play. But for the most part, their track record is great. I know the big announcement for me coming out of this was Street Fighter V.
Oh, well, hold on, man. We're moving
Well,
on.
okay, you have something else for Uncharted? Sorry.
Yeah, well, no. We're done with Uncharted, but we're moving on too fast. So,
Okay, sorry.
Bloodborne was shown next. So more Bloodborne gameplay was shown, and they announced the Trailless Dungeon, which is a new co-op feature for Bloodborne. Bloodborne definitely looks exciting. The graphics once again look amazing. They showed some of the bosses in Bloodborne, and they look very enticing. Definitely a game I'll be picking up for sure.
So here's the thing about Bloodborne and Dark Souls and Demon Souls. I don't want to play any of these games. I have no desire to play them at all. Just that they require too much time of me, too much learning how the world and mechanics works. That said, I think they are amazing games. They're some of the best games that are out right now. They're just not for me personally. And I, oddly enough, love watching people play them. Like, I have watched so many people play through Dark Souls and Demon Souls, so I'm looking forward to the same thing with Bloodborne. But this gameplay trailer looks really neat. They definitely have more of a horror theme than the previous games made from that developer of this genre.
How about you, Anthony? What are your thoughts on Bloodborne from what you have seen so far?
It is, it's kind of like a Dark Souls sequel, right? Or is it something different?
It's a game
new
like
franchise.
Dark Souls. Yeah, it's a new franchise like Dark Souls.
Yeah, it's a
Except it has a
PlayStation 4
horror
exclusive.
theme. It's more horror, less fantasy.
I could say that I have a lot of respect for those games. Yeah, but I never really got into them because, kind of like similar to what Bronson says, the amount of effort and time needed to actually make it reasonably far into that game. I mean, yeah, it wasn't my kind of game, but I really highly respected because it was like one of those games that basically, or at least Demon Souls, and that was a long time ago. Demon Souls basically is one of those games that literally said to me, if you screw up, it's your fault. No BS here. You just weren't good enough. Well, and I'm okay, I agree. I'm not good enough.
And the thing I like about it is it kind of makes you choose your own difficulty, and extra credits to this segment on this. It's like, okay, well, you can really early on in the game, yeah, if you can make this game far easier if you play this class and find this weapon early on, so on and so forth. And I kind of like that. It's like, okay, well, if I play it this way, it becomes significantly more difficult, and so on and so forth. Like, I really like those games, and I will watch them for hours. Like, I think next year we need to have a segment where we just watch Bremen play Bloodborne.
I mean, we could do.
Oh, I know Bremen.
We can do like System-8 Access, and we just hand the controls to Bremen. It's like, here, Bremen, play the game for us, please.
Yeah, like that's
because he actually likes Dark Souls, whereas the rest of us are just complete garbage at it and wouldn't properly show off how good the game is.
So one thing that I would like to do at one point is I really want to take the time to get into those games. At one point or another, and I very much considered, I have Dark Souls 1 on my 360. We have a series where we play through video games. And I had that thought run through my mind briefly.
Are you crazy?
And then Common Sense said that, just like, are you fucking out of your mind? Because, those games aren't that long. They're like 20 hours, even for bad people. So, so I don't know. But anyway, Bloodborne looks cool.
I'm sorry, seriously, Super Mega School playtime with Dark Souls? Are you crazy? Do I need to...
Just let it happen.
Okay.
Just let this bad idea happen. Think of all the commentary that could come from it.
It'd just be us just feeling absolutely miserable. I mean, we could like turn to Twitch for help.
I mean, like, I would probably, like, yeah, like, we probably, our next Super Mega Awesome Go playtime, we should probably live stream and record it.
I mean, it makes it a lot more interesting when people actually talk to us.
Yeah.
Instead of us talking amongst ourselves, because at times it felt like we were it's kind of like we felt like we were prison roommates.
Yes.
Talking the same topic every single day.
Why are we lost all the time? This game is really pretty.
Those words will forever haunt me about when it comes to that show.
Oh, God. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, Bloodborne, yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting.
What was the next game?
Okay, moving on from Bloodborne, Sony San Diego revealed a new free-to-play shooter called Killstrain. What did you think, Bronson?
I took breaks, so I think I skipped this part. I don't know. Didn't really see this, so we might have to skip this one.
Yeah, we'll move on from there. EA came up on the stage, and they announced that they're going to give 3 games away now. Obviously, if you're hearing this now and didn't know about it, it's too late. But on PlayStation Vita, they gave away Need for Speed. On PlayStation 3, they gave... What did they give away on? Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's Edge, yeah.
And then on PlayStation 4, they gave away Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare.
Wait, it's too late now?
Yeah, it's too late. They did it to the 8th. I actually didn't download them either, I think, so don't feel bad. No, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. Played that at a friend's house. That is a really good game, actually. It's really weird, too.
We have an interview for it, too. And you're going to have to Google search for it, because it's dug in deep in there somewhere from 2 years ago. But we have an interview for it.
Yeah,
just plugging that in.
So you did that interview, didn't you?
I did that interview at the very last possible minute. Pretty tough, but I did it. Turned out well. It was really weird how I set up that interview too, because obviously I don't have any fancy equipment around, so I had to freaking plug the I plugged the output of the speakerphone jack on my phone to my laptop. Turned on my laptop to say, okay, output sound through the speaker so I can hear what's actually going through my phone. Plugged in my headphone jack so I can hear what's on my phone. And then used my 3DS to capture my voice as I'm speaking to this guy over the phone. And, no big problem, right? Because, don't need good sound quality, because bad sound quality is actually good because it's a phone. And that's how I set up to do a phone interview. Yeah, it was a pretty ghetto setup, but it worked. That was a bit of a segue. That was a bit of a segue.
EA announced their games.
Yeah, so moving on. Street Fighter. So first they announced Ultra Street Fighter 4 is coming to PlayStation 4.
Wait, 4? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
They came out with they announced Ultra Street Fighter 4.
All right.
And then they announced, the big announcement was Street Fighter 5. And the huge announcement out of this is that Street Fighter 5 will be exclusive to PC and PlayStation 4, meaning it's not coming to the Xbox One. Also, they're going to be cross-platform, so if you get Street Fighter 5 on your PC or the PlayStation 4, you can play against people on the opposing platform.
They still haven't answered my question of, can I use my PS3 fight stick on my PS4? Because I have a PS3 fight stick for Street Fighter. That's the primary reason I bought it. And if it is not compatible with the PS4 games, then I will most probably definitely sell it. Because I've been considering selling it. I've been shopping it around. If it doesn't work on PS4, then I am definitely selling it. So, I don't know. I think this looks awesome. The game looks beautiful. From what people say, it's going to be playing a lot more like Street Fighter 3, which means it's going to be the most hardcore fighting game ever. I'm super stoked. I love fighting games. It's super excited. Anthony?
We played Super Street Fighter 4, right?
Yeah, we played.
You tried to teach me it, and I was actually kind of getting the hang of it. I forgot what the character was.
I'm telling you right now, that you're coming to game night now. We've got you at game nights. And when this game comes out, this game is going to take over game night. So you will learn how to play this through proxy. Hello?
I'm here.
I'm here.
So,
Cool.
yeah, game night, just like play more fighting games. It's just gonna be like, Anthony, you're here at game night now. Play Persona.
That's what we did, and you were doing all right. You did pretty good.
Yeah, but it was basically me trying to dodge Bremen.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously you're going to be learning, but eventually you're going to get pretty damn good. I mean, like, everyone there started as novices, and we play it every week, so we've all gotten really damn good at all those games. So anyway.
Well, moving along, news that I know Bronson's happy about. Yakuza 5 is coming to the United States, as well as Persona 5.
Yes, and Persona... Oh my god. Fuck yes. So much yes. Anthony, Yakuza 5. Yakuza 5. How stoked are you, Anthony?
Pretty darn stoked because it was one of those games that got perfect score from Famitsu back when it came out in Japan, and you and I were just like, are they gonna ever bring it? Because Yakuza 4 didn't sell anything.
It sold like 15,
it's like I got it for like $17
copies.
on Amazon.
Yeah, I paid I think $40 for mine when it was still relatively new. That game sold 15,000 copies in the States. It sold like shit.
And yeah, that was like, it was kind of like one of those, you know what? Even if it is a great game in Japan, it's probably not going to come here.
Yep, not coming to America. It's a PS3 game, so we're gonna have to wait on doing any PS3 generation awards again, which bums me out, but whatever. Yakuza 3 and 4 are the only games to ever win place on the top 10.
Consistent. Yakuza 3 was like 1 year, and then Yakuza 4 was in 2011, I think.
Yeah, like back to back.
Yeah, it's like one. It's going to be like one of those strange NFL statistics where there's a first time for anything and everything.
Yeah, very great game. 3 and 4. And from what's been said about this game from people who imported it and whatnot, I'm super excited.
I'm very excited too.
Really excited.
Because I mean, Yakuza 4 wasn't like just the core gameplay. They kind of gave you a bunch of stupid mini games to mess around too.
And it had a really good story.
It's like, I mean, yeah, the story was pretty cool, but like to me, that wasn't what made the game for me. For me, it's like you can just go to some random bar and just order this nice long list of alcohol, or you can go to some random food shop and eat food and get your health back. And I mean, like one of my problems with the game is.
And go talk to hostess girls, which that's only a little weird in
and
Japan.
You can dress them up too, if you wanted, because one of them owns the place.
Oh man, if you want to make people in America feel uncomfortable, that's the way you do it.
Sure. But I think like one of the annoying things is for some reason when you're walking around, there's like a thug on like every couple blocks.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was irritating.
You beat them up pretty easily, but it's almost like it's almost like wild grass with Pokemon. You're getting jumped like every 5 seconds sometimes.
Yeah, that is true.
All right, moving along. Huge news for Final Fantasy fans. Final Fantasy VII will be coming to the PlayStation 4, but not as an HD remake, which I think is kind of a bummer.
This did not make any Final Fantasy fans.
This is not like huge news. This is just news that you're just making everyone in disbelief,
bewildered and pissed off about. Like that was the main response on Twitter that I found. Like I went on my Twitter and was like, I wonder what people's responses this are. Fucking just anger, so much anger. There's a little bit of anger from me. I posted something on Facebook about it, I believe. And with good reason. Like it's like, oh, we're fucking putting this game from the PC out on consoles. Why? I don't fucking know, because it'll sell copies, I guess. But like everyone just wants a remake. Just fucking do it. Just do it already.
I feel like they will never make a remake until the day they're almost bankrupt.
Like, yeah, that will be their like saving throw. They're just real. Fuck you. We're gonna try one last thing.
It's like this. I don't even know what they are trying to do here because it boggles my mind. So you're talking about a game that came out on the PlayStation 1, but it had a PC version like a few years later.
That was the broken version at the time.
That was Final Fantasy VII with, and the music sounded worse in the PC version. And then it gets re-released many different times, and then they put it on Steam last year, I think. And now it's like that PC version on Steam is now coming to PS4, and I'm like, what are you guys even doing? Like, freaking Final Fantasy IV was legitimately remade for the DS, and like stuff like they kind of like in Final Fantasy X got its full-on HD remastered on PS3, and it's gonna happen to PS4. Yeah, it's like, but of course people are going to buy it because on PS3 this was like a number one selling PS classic forever. People are going to buy it.
So, two things. I actually found the two posts I was talking about on Facebook regarding Yakuza and regarding Final Fantasy. Square Enix can remake Final Fantasy VII Remake on PS4, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core on Vita, FF Type 0 on Vita, a new to Cydia, but no, it's a Final Fantasy VII PC port on PS4. Great job, guys.
I just don't know what's going through their mind. People are going to buy it, obviously.
The two tweets about Yakuza I found were everyone just accepts the notion that bringing Yakuza out in English is not great business, but then they go and say, fuck it, here you go. So that was I think that's a pretty good sentiment for Yakuza. Just like that game, the third one did okay in the States, but man, that fourth one bombed so hard.
I mean, I think it was like better than the third game.
I thought it was. I think it was better gameplay, not as good of a. Well, actually, about equal on story. But
I don't know. It's like Yakuza 4. I bought it for $17. It was the middle of January. It was a really nice surprise. Like, I became a fan. It's just kind of like one of those little games that no one ever heard about that you kind of wish could get big, and it was like a yearly release that didn't suck. That was nice too.
So, what was the next announcement? Oh, and Persona 5. Yeah, I'm excited. They showed another teaser. The anime art for those cutscenes looks beautiful. Fucking, I want to see more of that game. They've shown next to nothing in Japan. They've shown next to nothing in America. It's apparently coming out in 2015 in America and Japan, but fuck all knows when. Or if they're going to show anything.
Cool. Moving along, PlayStation Vita got some love.
What's a Vita?
What is well? I almost said what is love. Yeah. So because for a brief moment there, I thought Vita meant love. I was like, wait, Vita meant life, which kind of ironically named at this point.
So I know 7 games were announced for PlayStation Vita. There was Towerfall Ascension, which is announced for coming to Vita, which is currently on the PlayStation 4, and it was actually debuted on the Ouya, which is a lot of fun. Octodad Deadliest Catch, The Banner Saga, Resident Evil Revelations 2, and Super Time Force. There's also
Bastion. I did Bastion.
Bastion, and then the Suikoden? Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Suikoden 1 and 2 are finally going to be on the PSN store for Vita, which those are 2 really good JRPGs, which if you like JRPGs and have a Vita or a PS3, you should probably play those. They're really good games. I think most of these announcements are kind of small in scale. Like they're all neat, but none of them makes me go, fuck all, that's going to be the thing that pulls the Vita out of the fucking grave. Like, I feel if you are an existing Vita owner, you are quite happy about that lineup. Like, those are a bunch of really good games. Bastion placed in our top 10 list the year it came out. It's one of the best indie games ever made, in my opinion. The rest of those games look really cool. Super Time Force, when I played it this year, was kind of neat. What else did they announce on there? Octodad. Octodad's cool. Like, that game is... I feel that game actually kind of fits the Vita perfectly. So... I don't know. Anthony, what's your thoughts on this Vita news?
As a person who doesn't own a Vita, why should I buy a Vita?
Because reasons. You should buy a Vita TV, because that way you can play Vita games.
You mean a PlayStation TV?
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, it's like that's always has been like the problem with the Vita right there, is that obviously with Nintendo it's so easy. We've got Pokemon. We've got Smash. Yeah, we've got Mario. And we got another Pokemon game. Like Nintendo, you can easily sell a Nintendo system. Whereas, it's a Nintendo portable at least. Whereas, with the Vita, here's the thing. Yeah, Uncharted was on it. Killzone was on it, I think. But it just... This is like the thing I noticed about Sony's franchise. Yes, they've got Uncharted, and yes, they've got Naughty Dog, and they've got God of War and that kind of stuff, but they didn't have like that one franchise that instantly pops into people's minds and like becomes a pop culture icon in a way. Like that's always how I felt about Sony's franchises. They're very great games, but they just kind of don't have like that quality where it's like makes me want it. And with the Vita.
The closest they have is Uncharted, and Uncharted on Vita is very good, but it's not a system seller. And then they had God of War, which the port was okay, and it's still a port. I feel as though that the audience for that system at that point is: do you like Japanese games? Yes, you should buy a Vita. Do you like indie games? Yes, you should buy a Vita. Are you anyone else? Yes, then you probably shouldn't want to buy a Vita.
I mean, this is like kind of like like I said, this is just kind of like. Sony, I probably maybe missed something, but Sony doesn't exactly have like a pop culture icon of a franchise sitting around that, you know, really stands out. Like Microsoft, if they somehow made a portable system,
Halo,
they just put Halo on it, or they put Forza on it, and they probably could have a reasonable number of people buy it.
Gran Turismo, that is
Gran
Sony's...
Turismo. I probably would be slightly suckered into a Vita. But
Gran Turismo is the one that does it. Like that.
If it doesn't take forever, which at this point too late.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to make one because they're too busy making 7 and still working on 6, I think. But yeah, it's like with Microsoft they could say we've got Forza and Halo and maybe Killer Instinct, and you could get a pretty decent number of people to purchase it. But right now the Vita, to me, I look at the Vita and to me it looks kind of like an Nvidia Shield competitor.
Let me show you my PlayStation Vita titles that I currently have installed on the system and that I have on cartridge. Hold on, I'm not sure if the battery's dead. Nope, it's good. Okay. Alright, Hot Shots Golf, Wipeout, Uncharted, Luminous, Little Big Planet, Persona 4, The Walking Dead. Hold on, it's loading. Danganronpa 1, Danganronpa 2, Disgaea, Muramasa, Sound Shapes, Metal Gear, Super Stardust Delta, and Velocity 2X are what I have currently installed on it. So, yeah. Totally killer lineup. And some of you can hear that smooth Vita menu music. Oh, yeah.
I shut off the menu music on my PS4 because it's kind of distracting. I
actually kind of like it. It's relaxing. Like, I'm going to play video games.
Yeah, just like the PlayStation 4. I can't even call it the XMB anymore. The PlayStation 4 interface. It has that music that can pretty much put you to sleep.
Yeah, like...
Right, the PS4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that flow, technical, elegant. I just shut it off. Because it's like, I don't want that stuff going on all the time while my PS4 is on idle. Menu sounds are fine. Yeah. Speaking of which, the PS4 menu is a little, I don't know if I feel like I'm going to like the layout, because at first it's like, oh, it's not so bad. What's the problem? And then you have like maybe 5 or 6 titles on it, and you're like, oh. But, yeah, I just shut off the music. To be honest, though, the menus of my game systems, like on the Xbox or my Wii U, I just prefer not to hear that tone going off the whole time.
You know what? The Xbox One has the worst interface of all goddamn time, so I'm not even going to complain about the other ones making music.
Yes, Bronson, tell us what it was like to try and force the Xbox One to actually update Halo.
That was fucking
As our
horrible.
capture card was sitting there dying. Which, by the
Let's
way, you're all
talk
not
about-
going to see that because we actually could not film Halo because the capture card broke down too much.
Yeah, we have that. We should. I still say we should upload that someday when like we don't have any content, just like bloopers, Master Chief Collection.
There's a
the
lot of
scenes.
bloopers we could do. 15-minute access, Halo Master Chief Collection update bullshit.
Yep.
It's like 15-minute
really
access
want-
of the Pizza Hut app, only dumber.
You know, I really want them to do another Pizza Hut app, like a Pizza Hut app for Xbox One, so we have an excuse to do that again.
Huh.
Like, that was a really good Saturday. We just ordered pizza and hung out.
It was great. I loved it though
That was
because
a
we were
great
just
week.
we were just sitting there was in disbelief as the Pizza Hut app needed an update, and then we were literally telling the people at the local Pizza Hut to make the pizza and give it and ship it to us first thing in the morning, or first thing at their shift. I mean,
Yeah, like, yeah, that was a fun day. The second that a Pizza Hut app comes out for Xbox One, we're doing it for 60-minute access. Doing it. That'll be another week. We invite Kevin over. Order that. We'll even order the same style of pizza. Just like the pizza we ordered that day, Nick. This is what it was. It was pepperoni with extra sauce, extra cheese, bacon, steak. And I think we had something else on it also.
So what
There's no meat.
you're telling me is you ordered a heart attack in a box.
Yeah, basically. This was the most
it wasn't really
no.
that much of a heart attack. The pizza wasn't that huge.
No, it was. I think it was a large, which for Pizza Hut is not that big.
Like I thought, I look at it's like I was like, that's a large because it didn't really look like it.
Well, yeah, like that kind of pizza sizes. That's one thing I really hate about pizza. There's no established large from place to place.
It's like clothes. Like,
Yeah.
like sometimes, like it happens to me all the time. I'm pretty sure this happens to people all the time too. You ask for a large, and the shirt was too big, and then you ask for a medium, and the shirt's too small. Freaking annoying.
Yeah. So I don't. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I really want to do that Pizza Hut thing again, though. That sounds like the most fun.
Moving on from Pizza Hut.
Well, sorry, back to my pizza tangent. Like, there's a pizza place in town that I love to go to called the Boulevard, and a large pizza there is fucking gigantic. Like, it is huge. Like, me and two friends went out to eat pizza there, and one pizza was more than enough. Like, I had pizza to bring home. We go to Pizza Hut, and 3 people destroys that pizza. So,
Yeah. All right, moving along. News that I got. This was probably the biggest disappointment for me at the show. And don't get me wrong, I'm still looking forward to it. When they announced that they're coming out with a new Fat Princess, I got so freaking happy. I was like, yes, yes, yes. They've heard my prayers. This is the game I've always wanted. Come to find out, it's called Fat Princess Adventures. It's coming out exclusively for the PlayStation 4, but it's not the Fat Princess that we know. It is a co-op hack and slasher. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It looks fun. It looks like a blast, but I was wanting the same Fat Princess that came out on the PlayStation 3 that I fell in love with, and still one of my favorite, probably my top 3 downloaded games of all time. It's so amazing.
I feel, looking back at Fat Princess, I feel as that game was a precursor to MOBAs. Like, looking back at that game, and I'm like, you guys made a pseudo MOBA, but instead of trying to destroy the other team's base, you're trying to capture their Fat Princess.
Oh, I love that game so much.
Yeah, no, Quinn and I put a lot of time into that game, so.
What's your thought on Fat Princess Adventures?
It looks neat. Like, I'll probably play it with Quinn when it comes out. I'm not super invested in it, but if it's cheap or we get a review code or whatever, like, I'll play it.
Alright, Day of the Tentacle Special Edition was announced for PC, Vita, and PlayStation 3.
Looks neat. Once again, looks neat. It's What kind of fucking world do we live in where Day of the Tentacle is getting a remake, but not Final Fantasy VII? Like Day of the Tentacle, great game, one of those really special games of its day. That's still the weirdest shit ever. So, but whatever.
Okay, moving along. Broken Age coming to PlayStation 4 and Vita.
I played that game on my friend's Steam account. It is one of the better point-and-click adventure games I've played. Double Fine is doing a good job with it, and I'm glad more people are going to get to play it.
Okay, Gang Beast was announced for consoles. PlayStation first.
Gang Beast. I'm trying to remember what that is. Oh, yeah, I remember this. I don't know. This I kind of don't care about. Yep, yeah. Okay.
Shovel Knight announced, and it has Kratos on PlayStation platforms.
Shovel Knight was one of the best games of this year. Definitely one of the best indie games of this year. It's only on Nintendo platforms right now, so more people getting to play it is good in my opinion.
All right, Bronson already talked about Bastion. Bastion's going to release not only on Vita, but it's also coming to the PlayStation 4. So, good news for fans of Bastion. There was an announced collaboration between former Journey and Katamari Damacy developers. We don't really know much more than that.
So that game is going to be a box filled with pills, and you just take them all at once and trip out. Is that what I'm? Because when you say the guys who made Journey and Flower, and the guys who made Katamari Damacy and Nobi Nobi Boy, I just think drugs. I just think hippies and drugs. So, is that what that game's gonna be?
Pretty much, probably.
Like, here, man, you take this LSD and then put it in the game.
Yeah, then a couple more games were shown, like Orcs Must Die for PlayStation 4, which looks pretty cool.
But okay.
Yeah. Until Dawn, a gameplay demo was shown for Until Dawn. They revealed The Forest, which looks pretty cool.
The Forest does look really cool. That game did look neat. It kind of reminded me of like Gone Home a little bit in a way.
Yeah, they revealed Darkest Dungeon, showed the teaser trailer for MLB 15 The Show. What Remains of Edith Finch is coming from the same team that did was it something Swan? What's the name of that game again?
Oh, holy shit! A team by those guys? Yeah, the Unfinished Swan was an indie game that came out in 2012. I got around to playing that in 2013, and it was awesome. So that actually sounds really cool.
Yeah, so they're coming out with a new game called What Remains of Edith Finch.
That's them?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm far more excited for that now.
Yeah. Sony showed a really cool, similar to what they did like 4 or 5 years ago. Remember they used Little Big Plant to show the numbers? During PlayStation Experience, they used Little Big Plant to show the history of PlayStation, and they went through. It's amazing. You just have to go watch it. Look up history of PlayStation and Little Big Planet 3. It's amazing. It's so good. So they did really good with that. You have to check it out. And then, like I said, there's little tidbits, but there was a huge announcement at the end. David Jaffe hit the stage and revealed his new game, Drawn to Death, which I must say has me absolutely hooked. Imagine,
it's a MOBA. It's a fucking MOBA, man.
But the thing is, though, here's the thing when it comes to the MOBAs. Like League of Legends, the reason why those MOBAs don't interest me is click here, click there, click here, click there. Here you're actually controlling your character. You're more involved. It's not top-down. It's like a third-person view. And the premise behind it's amazing. So pretty much you're this kid. You imagine this kid in class, and he has this notebook that he draws in class. All the action takes place in this notebook. So you guys have to, if you haven't seen already, go look at the gameplay trailer. But it's just craziness, like complete David Jaffe, like just a guy who first God of War and then Twisted Metal, like complete craziness. And there's action shooting, and you're all within a notebook, so everything's like kind of white. But then there's it just looks amazing. I cannot wait for this game. What were your thoughts on it, Bronson?
It looked really cool. I kind of already have my plate filled with my MOBA of choice, Heroes of the Storm, but I will definitely give it a shot. So I don't know, Anthony. What about you? What's your opinion?
I don't think he's seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't.
Anthony's slipping. You got a lot of stuff to look at.
I do have a lot.
You spent some money on PlayStation 4, and they're actually starting to show games to justify your purchase. You got to see what's coming, man.
I am not interested in a lot of stuff, but yeah, I kind of need to. Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, PlayStation experience was definitely a success. It was much better than I anticipated. I would say,
you actually missed a couple games.
Oh yeah, well, I talked about all the big ones, right? I mean, there's little ones here and there.
You missed one big one, King's Quest. From it was a big point and click adventure game back in the day. It got a lot of people there, super stoked. It is this I honestly think Anthony would really like this game. It is a high fantasy, high story based game.
That's right.
Yeah, it has a lot of humor. It looks very colorful. Those of you back in the day remember it. It's a point and click adventure game, one of the very early ones.
I'm not a fan of point and click.
But it looks really cool. Like, this isn't a point and click. It looks like a 2D puzzle platformer. Looks gorgeous from what they've showed so far. They haven't said if it's exclusive to PS4 or not. But Anthony, I definitely think you should look up King's Quest because it definitely seems like your style.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it looks really cool. Like, I think that game looked really interesting.
Anything else big that you think needs to be mentioned?
There's going to be a second killing floor, and they showed some order gameplay. But other than that,
yeah, the order gameplay looked amazing.
Yeah, that actually got me kind of interested in it, because I haven't been the biggest supporter of that game, but I'm kind of intrigued after that. So
cool.
Yeah.
So that pretty much wraps up PlayStation Experience. This is what I'll say. I wouldn't say their conference was on level what you expect to see from them, let's say, at an E3, but it's pretty solid. Really solid, especially for outside of E3. Like I said, who knows what the future holds with Sony, whether they're abandoning themselves from E3 altogether, or maybe this is something they're just going to do in addition to E3. If they just do it into addition into E3, and it's this solid every year, that's something to be excited for. So, yeah, overall, I think it was a very, very solid press conference, and I wish we could have been there, but if they continue to do it, we will definitely be there next year.
So, coming off of this, I got two things to ask. Since it is the 20th anniversary of PlayStation, what was everyone's favorite PS1 game?
PS1? Oh, man. That's going way, way back. I'd probably have to say Spyro. Spyro was my game back in the day.
Mine is Crash Bandicoot 2. What about you, Anthony?
I don't know if I've ever played a PlayStation 1 game in my entire life.
Okay. Another piece of news coming out the 20th anniversary is they released a special 20th anniversary PS4. It is the same gray color as the original PS4 and has a special
PlayStation
theme.
1, you mean?
Sorry, PlayStation 1. Yeah. It has a special theme and a bunch of other stuff to go along with it. And it comes with a gray camera, gray controller. It's a full-on setup, but it's all the original color. It even has the original logo instead of that silver accent one we have on the current PlayStations. And they didn't say the price, but they ended up saying it, but they don't have an article here. And it ended up selling out within hours. And not only that, there were only 12,300 made. So they sold out quickly, obviously, and now they are going on eBay for one sold. The highest one sold so far was $15,000.
That's nuts. You either gotta have too much money and be a hardcore PlayStation fan to put that kind of cash.
This is the problem I kind of have with like collector edition electronics. Is whenever you talk about a collectible car, usually it's just more than just a fancy paint job, right? Like, usually if you're going to buy a collectible car or a rare luxury car and they make like a special edition, they usually kind of like put stuff into it that makes it really hard to find anywhere else in the far future. Like maybe it had this special engine with this special thing to it that makes restoration impossible. 20th anniversary PlayStation 3. Aside from the plastic exterior skin,
4.
PlayStation 4, thank you. With the 20th anniversary, PlayStation 4 commemorative edition that they have here, is there anything more to it than just a fancy exterior?
Nope, it's just that's
skin?
all it is.
That's all it is. So basically, it is like a $5 colored plastic upgrade.
I mean, yeah, like
it's like saying it's like this thing that Nissan did a few years ago. Like Nissan a few years ago for their family sedan, the Altima, they're like, here's a 20th anniversary edition package to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Nissan Altima, and it's just like a bunch of equipment like automatic headlights and I don't know, a bunch of stuff that you would find on other cars. It's like this is just a plastic look.
But the thing is, when it comes down to what something's worth, most of the time, when it comes down to what something's worth, it comes down to availability and how many were made. You go back to, like, example, trading cards and all that stuff. The cards that they didn't make many of are the most expensive. There's some sport cards out there that go for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and all they are pieces of cardboard. But because they only made 20 of them, and maybe only 4 of them are still around, they're worth ridiculous amount of money. It's the same case here. People are like, I can say I have something that most people in the world don't. And to a lot of people, that's what makes it worth something. And people that have money...
But here's the thing. Is it more than just plastic? Because Nintendo has had a lot of special edition
here's the thing. If
3DSs.
If you're a fan of that, though, or you're a fan of the PS1, a big fan of it, like, it's worth it. Like, I fucking love my Zelda Wii U. Because I'm a big Zelda fan. Like, I'm glad that edition came out. I'm glad I got that bundle. Like, I'm sure you enjoy your white PS4 because it's different and, in your opinion, I believe, looks better. Like that. In that case, it's a matter as if you're a fan. So I mean, yeah, like I mean, what would you recommend they do? Like, package a bunch of PS1 games to digitally download with it? Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah, like I mean, what else could they have done for a special edition 20th anniversary? Like that. I mean, I'm saying that. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
I'm here.
Okay, Nick timed out then. Great. I don't know, man. Like, there's not much you can do for a special edition console, and I feel that paint job, that isn't a bad option. Like okay, if you're in charge, you are in charge of making the 20th anniversary PlayStation 4.
I think that's what makes it really difficult, is that it's not like with like with a car or an old house where you could just kind of say you could change so much on it, including the interior, whereas with the PlayStation 4 it's not like you can give gold-plated semiconductor chips.
Yeah, like
that's the thing, but at the same time I just kind of like that. Well, if all they did was just kind of give it a simple paint job, I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, the camera comes with it, and it's that color. And then the controller is also that color. And they're actually not going to be selling the controllers in that color. You can only get it in that bundle. Also, there's only going to be 12,000 of these. Like, this isn't going to be like Nintendo, where you're going to have fucking... Oh, man, there are like a fucking billion of these pink DSs around. They're not really
I know,
special.
but there isn't exactly 12,000 Fire Emblem. Well, there probably is a lot more, but it isn't like Fire Emblem 3DSs or a hot commodity either.
Yeah. But if you look up the sell price of one of those right now, it is significantly higher than that of a regular colored 3DS.
I don't know. Like, for me personally, it's just like it's like if you, it needs to kind of like go be more than just like a paint job.
Well, like I said,
like that's just personally how I look at it. I mean, is it really cool to have one of these? Yeah, like if I had a Fire Emblem 3DS, yeah, I would totally like it, even if the circle pad on it broke. I would totally keep it, but it's just I don't know. There's just something about it that didn't really stick out too much.
I mean, that said, there's only 12,000 of these, and they're going for fucking insane amounts of money right now. Like, this is fucking insane to me how much money these are going for.
And the crazy thing is that at some point, like, I don't know, maybe Sony, because Sony's at kind of point now, it's like, they can't really come out with a great PlayStation 4 now, because then they're just going to piss people off. Because people spent all this money on an exclusive PlayStation 4, and then in a year or so, Sony releases a great PlayStation 4, they're all going to be like, well, what did I spend all that money for on the 20th anniversary edition? So we're probably not going to see a silver one. We started with the black. They have the white one now with the Destiny bundle. Maybe Sony's just going to stick with the black and white.
I mean, yeah, like I think we might get like pink and blue and other primaries.
I don't think we're going to see that.
Well, I mean, maybe in Japan, because like Japan.
Yeah, Japan, of course, yes.
That always gets me so fucking angry that Japan gets all these colored consoles. I'm just like,
how many special edition DSs have they put out in Japan?
So fucking many, it's ridiculous.
It's like, I think there was like a Charizard one, or is that a 3DS?
Well, a big part of that though is because you're talking about a culture difference though. Like over in Japan, that sells the fact that they have different colors, whereas over here in the United States, the standard color for technology is either black or white.
And still, people buy it here though. Like I know people with like fucking multiple DSs and multiple.
Well, yeah, but you
PSPs.
need to figure out like how many people though, because.
Yeah, this is where research and study groups come in.
Yeah, it costs Sony a lot of money. Believe it or not, you may say, oh, they're just changing the color, but it costs Sony a lot of money to produce consoles in a different color for them to not go sold. So...
I mean this is just like with car colors. I mean, like you think about it, what is the most common car color out there? It's some shade of gray. Because you can't really sell a green car or a brown car or a... red cars aren't as easy either. It's just some shade of gray. Because research says you're more likely to sell a gray car, apparently. I think. But yeah, it costs money to produce more colors.
Yep.
Probably not much, but, pennies.
It's all about the pennies. Especially when you're producing millions of these things.
Yeah, like you think, oh, it's only a couple of cents, but well, a couple
cents across 20 million systems is a lot.
Yeah, so that's 20 million cents, which is that's a lot. That's a good chunk of change. Yeah, I still though I think these are really neat. If I didn't own if I was waiting on getting a PS4, like if I didn't have a fucking PS4. I probably would have jumped on this because it came with it came with a camera and it came with it came with a camera and the special edition controller and the system itself looks really neat and has that original logo, and I believe it even starts up with the special PS1 theme. I'm not sure though.
Ooh, see now stuff like that probably worth it.
Well,
it has to be like more than just what.
You can download that for your current PS4.
Okay, never mind
PS4.
That.
Like, yeah, you download.
Never mind that, because if that PS1 startup theme was exclusive only to that system, it's like that R2D2 Star Wars Xbox 360.
Or like my 360. I have the Gears of War 360. It sounds like a chainsaw.
Yeah, Halo 4 or not Halo 4. Halo 4 Xboxes does something too, but the Halo Reach one sounds like shields are recharging when you.
See, like stuff like that would make your system a little more special than just some fancy paint job. That's just my personal opinion.
It's just like, remember when Metal Gear Solid 4 came out? I think it was in Europe or was it Japan? The Metal Gear Solid, like we had the Metal Gear Solid bundles, but I think it was either in Europe or Japan. They had like the ones with Solid Snake actually on the console.
Yeah, like that was super fucking.
And those were worth a ton of money.
So, oh man, I think this is neat. I'm very pro special edition console. Because it's really funny. I only have one special edition console. It's my Wii U. Because I always buy systems around launch, right? So my Xbox One is literally just a regular Xbox One. Same with my PS4. Same with my 3DS. Same with my Vita. My Wii U, I waited far enough out to where they had that Wii U, that Zelda bundle. I was like, yep, okay, that's the one. And realistically, like I don't know when I'm going to get another special edition console. Like probably the 3DS XL will be the first special edition I get when they put out a special edition of the new XL. I don't know.
Right. Cool. So that concludes our discussion for PlayStation Experience. I'm gonna hand it over to Bronson to talk about the Game of the Year awards.
Yeah. The reason PlayStation scheduled this for the reason of it being the same weekend as the Game Awards.
Yeah, because the Game Awards were different. Usually the Game Awards are held in LA area. This year this year they were in Las Vegas.
And it was just an independent thing by Jeff Keighley, and it was sponsored by like MTV and a bunch of other, and like GameSpot and IGN and Polygon and.
Yeah. So what came out of the event?
Yeah, not many big news announcements. Like it was all stuff that was kind of already announced at PlayStation thing. That said, they still had some stuff. They had. Let's see. They showed that new Legend of Zelda gameplay. They showed Dungeon Defenders 2. They showed King's Quest, and then some of The Witcher. They showed a bunch of gameplay for stuff that's kind of already out. But there were some awards that people voted on, and I'm just going to cut to the chase for what won Game of the Year. Dragon Age. Dragon Age is what won Game of the Year from their council of editors. They had a bunch of different editors from different publications vote on Game of the Year, and then the nominees beforehand, which were Bayonetta 2, Hearthstone, Dark Souls, and Dragon Age, and Dragon Age ended up winning. So,
what are your thoughts on that, Anthony? I know you're a fan of Dragon Age. Have you picked up the new Dragon Age?
I haven't yet because BioWare is not really my biggest favorite developer anymore. Because after Mass Effect 3 and Dragon Age 2, I kind of just didn't care. Because it wasn't really the same BioWare that I fell in love with when they were making Mass Effect 2 and Dragon Age 1. But everyone says Dragon Age 3 is amazing, and I haven't played it yet, so I'm just neutral about it. I wouldn't be surprised if Dragon Age actually does win Game of the Year, because just about everyone I've talked to who has played it absolutely likes it a lot, a huge amount. Like, absolutely likes playing it, absolutely keeps telling me about how huge it is, and been hearing nothing but good stuff about it. It wasn't like with Dragon Age 2 where the fans were just kind of like, it was just good positivity. So, I'm probably going to play it early next year or at the earliest late this month. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, like, I just normally don't care about Western RPGs, so I'm kind of, there are exceptions. Like, I love the Mass Effect games. Like, those were fucking awesome. And I really enjoyed Oblivion. It's just, I just don't really enjoy Western RPGs, so that's kind of, so I don't think this would win Game of the Year for me personally. And we've had 2 staff members that have played it, which are John and Bremen, who are not here. They both seem to really like it. Neither of them are really calling it their Game of the Year, though. So, I don't know. We got our Game of the Year stuff coming later this month, obviously. And I have my personal top 10 list ordered. I know we're all working on those. Expect to see them at the end of the month, as always. So, I don't know. Nick, what's your thoughts on Dragon Age?
I've never been a fan of Dragon Age. Those types of games just don't interest me whatsoever.
Yeah, I've never been big with the Western RPG, and I like high fantasy. Like, I love Warcraft. I love Lord of the Rings. Like, that kind of stuff has always been really neat to me. It's just a matter of I don't like the way Dragon Age plays, and you play a video game. Like, that's my problem with... That's like my problem with every Western RPG in the history of existence.
In this game, though, they tell me
crap.
it's more like that micromanaging stuff that the first Dragon Age on PC had. Like, more micromanaging. So it isn't just you going around mashing A for all eternity like you could do in the first 2 games if you wanted. You kind of have to manage your teammates now, so you have to go tell your teammates, okay, go this way, go that way, you do this, you do that, you stand over there and heal, you cast fireballs here.
That sounds...
It's like micromanaging. I think that's what they call it.
That sounds really unappealing to me. Like, I'm not even gonna lie.
Well, to me, it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like, well, there's a lot of games where you kind of have to manage 5 people at once.
I mean,
from an overhead perspective, in a way.
And I really dislike that. It's the biggest reason that RTSs have been such a turnoff to me. It's just like, I just want to manage me, or like I want to manage a party, but even then, I only want to manage a party if it's turn-based. It's just like the whole here. Let's micromanage every facet of this real-time battle to me. Like Rainbow Six does this. There's so many games that do this, and I'm just generally like, no, I fucking hate this. Don't make me play this, please. And I think that's gonna be one of my big complaints. And the funny part is, if it was turn-based, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm A-okay with this. It's the same reason I really like Final Fantasy, but dislike, the original Dragon Age is a perfect example of a game where I'm just like,
The original Dragon Age is really interesting because it was actually kind of like two different versions of that game. You had the one on PC, which was that overhead view. You right click on places until strategy things, and then there was like the game console version where they had a different developer port it down more like. So the game looked all kind of muddled up. In addition, they tried to make it more action like. And then in Dragon Age 2, there was a little bit more of a gameplay identity crisis where they tried to make it more like the console Dragon Age 1, except more action-packed, and then on the PC ended up feeling like a clumsy World of Warcraft. That was what I thought.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, Dragon Age has just kind of been like that's the other thing, too, is everyone tells me, like, oh man, Dragon Age 3 is amazing, but it's always had this kind of identity crisis with its gameplay. Because, it changes so much between the games, and now it's like it's trying to go back to its roots, so, okay. But yeah, I'm a sucker for BioWare games, and this is the thing that one of the sad things is that BioWare is one of those things where I always say, I don't care about them, but I'm going to buy their game anyways. Like, Mass Effect 4 is going to happen. It's going to happen. And obviously, it's not going to have Shepard. And I'm going to say, oh, I don't care about Mass Effect. I don't love the new Mass Effect games because after 2, things kind of went downhill. But, I'm going to still end up buying it anyways. I'm just suckered into BioWare games. Because, yeah.
Some other notable awards. I'll do the ones that our site doesn't have. Best Developer went to Nintendo. Best Family Game went to Mario Kart 8. Games for Change, which are, games that kind of change the way we think about games in the industry, is Valiant Hearts. Like I said, we got our Game of the Year awards coming up later in the month. It is going to be, as always, stress-inducing and soul-sucking and long, especially because we're breaking it up over 2 days this time.
Yes, that will make it easier.
That'll make it easier, but then, you get a week to rent. We're doing the top 10, then a week later, not a week, but 4 days later, we're doing the rest of the awards. So after the top 10s, when everyone feels slighted already, you get to go into the awards and be like, well, fuck you! So this is good.
Yeah, I could just imagine that whatever wrongs are going to be committed in the top 10, they're going to try. People are going to try and get back for it in the top 10. Says, oh well, you put it up on this list, so give me this award at least.
I'm telling you right now that John and Bremen kind of both flipped their shit over Shadows of Mordor, and I didn't.
They have.
and I didn't really care for it. So that's going to cause some problems.
A lot of people did, though. That game, no one was anticipating that game. That came out and just
considering that the developer, their last game, Guardians of Middle Earth, was really bad. Yeah, kind of a surprise.
Definitely a surprise.
Granted, you can tell the combat took a lot of its influence from Batman.
Very much.
Which is pretty interesting, considering the publisher WB Games also publishes Batman, in a way. So, but yeah, it worked. It plays pretty decent. It plays pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, I don't. I think that they're like, yeah, that's gonna be one of those games that just causes strife. Um, but like I said, we'll get there. I have another news story if you guys have one.
No, I don't have anything else.
My other one is Rise of the Tomb Raider is being published by Microsoft. About how the game was publishing was being handled. And Tomb Raider on Xbox will be published by Microsoft, and it'll be cross-marketed by Microsoft.
Interesting.
So yeah,
I think Microsoft's doing that because they know the big game for PlayStation 4 next year is going to be Uncharted, and they may not have that big game next year, and they're hoping Tomb Raider kind of fills in that void. Which actually kind of works out good for PlayStation fans too, because it's like, okay, fine, I'll have Uncharted, and then once I get sick of Uncharted and have some time, then the new Tomb Raider will be out for PlayStation 4. Or if you have both consoles, like Bronson and I will just play it on when it comes out for Xbox One. But if you're a PlayStation 4 owner, it's not too bad either.
Well, they haven't said if it's being made so it's only on Xbox One. Like what
if Microsoft is publishing it, it will.
It might be locked. Yeah, like it'll be a while, or it'll be.
I mean,
locked
there might be a PC version. There might be a PC version.
Well, this is what they said. This is what the news story says. This certainly seems to suggest we'll only be seeing Rise of the Tomb Raider on Xbox One and possibly PC, even though previous reports left wiggle room for the sequel to show up down the line on PS4. That could still happen, but in a world where Microsoft is publishing Rise of the Tomb Raider and Sony's locked up Street Fighter 5...
I keep going on, Bronson. I thought I read something the other day, but keep going.
That's it. Just so Sony is, on Street Fighter 5, and Microsoft's doing Tomb Raider. Yeah, I don't know. Like, with Microsoft publishing it, very well could be locked to the Xbox One.
Here's what I'm thinking: is that I think that I read this quote somewhere in the IGN article where the person says, "Well, we believe the Tomb Raider experience, we can get the best out of it in Xbox," which to me, back of my head, just says, "Excuse me, the PlayStation 4 is equally capable of what the Xbox One can do, unless you're doing some DirectX 12 trickery to, poof, Tomb Raider is now awesome."
So here's a comment from Square Enix on this, because I guess there's a lot of confusion over this. So Square Enix responded, and they said, "Our partnership with Microsoft on Rise of the Tomb Raider does have a duration, but we aren't discussing those details at this time, and are focused on collaborating to deliver a great game on Xbox One and Xbox 360. So pretty much they're saying it will come to play, that this deal, it does have a duration. So maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, but eventually it will more than likely come to the PlayStation 4.
Do you know what I'm thinking of right now? Do you guys remember Mass Effect 1?
Yeah.
Yes.
It said Microsoft. It said Microsoft right on it. They were like the ones that published it, even though BioWare was owned by EA. And there was a PC version published by EA of that original game. And then, of course, many years down the line, the PS3 version of Mass Effect 2 eventually happened, and then Mass Effect 1 was brought over to the PS3 finally, and Mass Effect 3 came out on the Xbox 360 and PS3 at the same time. That could happen with this. Because, Mass Effect 1 was a Microsoft Game Studios published game, according to the video sequence.
Yeah, so yeah. I personally think it's probably going to be 6 months.
I think it might be a year.
I think it could be a year. Yeah, I'm saying a year.
We'll see. Microsoft definitely forked up a lot of money for that. That's for sure. To get the Tomb Raider, which sells amazingly well, to get that to be exclusive, or at least a time exclusive on Xbox platforms when the PlayStation 4 was, at least at the time, whooping the Xbox One, and it still sell. I mean, obviously the Xbox One kind of is pretty much beat the PlayStation 4 this holiday season because of their holiday bundles. But there's still more PlayStation 4s on the market than Xbox One. So in order to get that, I mean, to convince that team to be willing to release that exclusively on Xbox platforms, they forked up a lot of money.
Yeah, like
At
that,
least it isn't. At least it isn't as stupid as that one time when Ubisoft just kind of came out and said, "Yeah, we just want to lock down the graphics to avoid debates and stuff."
Yeah, that was
That was
unbelievable.
like in
that's
this case we're like, okay,
look.
they gave a lot of money to have a game, all right, but locking down graphics, that was
Like I don't. Yeah, that's my thing. Like I just be fucking honest about it. I don't care. Like especially now, I don't care. Like I own all of the platforms that are out right now. You know, and my PC is relatively capable. Like it's not the most capable machine in the world anymore, but it's still, it still plays games on high settings and does relatively well. Um, and and I just do not give a shit when a game is exclusive to something anymore. Yeah, my preference is for it to be on the PlayStation 4 because that's where the majority of my friends are. But I mean,
I will say this: friends aside and everything I say, I don't care about trophies versus achievements and all that stuff. But the one reason why I would prefer to have a game exclusive on the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One, the only thing would be is the PlayStation 4 is technically more powerful. And if you have a company build an exclusive on the Xbox One, build it on the PlayStation 4, assuming the talents of the teams are equal, more than likely the PlayStation 4 game is going to come out looking better. So that would be the only advantage I see to having it built exclusively on one of the platforms.
I mean, yeah, there is that, but even then, I'm just like, I look at Bayonetta 2 and I'm like, this is made on significantly weaker hardware, but it's one of the best looking games of the year. I don't, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care. Just games are at the point where most of them look damn good. Yeah, there are games like Uncharted that push technical boundaries.
I
But
don't know,
even,
I'm a big fan of seeing games that push boundaries as far as visuals. Obviously, the game has to be fun. I don't care if you have good graphics, but the game sucks. But I
well,
like seeing games that visually appeal. I mean,
like,
let's be honest here. Visuals is a big reason why everyone upgrades from last generation to this generation.
yeah, and it's a big reason that.
Of course, for the new games and the scale of the games, of course, but visuals is what really pushes into the next generation.
Yeah, that is true, but even then, like, I look at a game like Sunset Overdrive and I'm like, this game is pretty, like, this is fine. That, like, games don't
Oh
need
yeah,
to
Sunset Overdrive
look,
does look good, but
like, games don't need to look much better than this. That's my thing. Like, I just do not give a shit. I don't even care if a game is a Wii U exclusive. I'm so done with.
I would be the only thing I have with that is I don't like the controller, and that's another thing. I do prefer the DualShock 4 over the Xbox One controller.
I will say, yeah, I agree, but even then, there's not enough of a, like, oh, holy fucking Jesus, I hate this controller so much. And then,
Oh no, and like I said, if like that Tomb Raider deal looks good on Xbox One, it's not like I was throwing a fit or anything. I'm like, okay, I'll just play it on Xbox One, no problem.
yeah, and then, like, Wii U, like, there's the Pro controller, which is great. And,
What I'll be curious to see though, and we probably won't if because Microsoft probably paid a ton of money. It would be funny if we had when the remastered version of Tomb Raider came out. The big difference between the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One version is PlayStation 4 version ran at full 1080p, Xbox One version didn't, and it ran at 60 frames per second versus 30 frames per second. I think it'd be kind of comical. It comes out first on Xbox One, but then it comes out on PlayStation 4 and it runs and looks better.
I would laugh.
But
so
I don't
hard.
think we're gonna see that because Microsoft paid the money. So they're probably gonna pull an Ubisoft and make them look equal.
Or because they'll have time to optimize Xbox One, they can just be like, yeah, okay,
that's
they're
true.
relatively even. Yeah, like even then though, just like I have enough controller options on systems with undesirable controllers. I have like it's just at that point where I just don't give a shit. Like yeah, I have preference for it to be on. My preference is definitely PlayStation or PC because the interfaces and that's where my friends are. But even then, like I don't I don't care enough. Just it's a good news story. I enjoy talking about the general, price war and console war because it's good for gamers because they're going to be pushing out better deals and price drops and all that stuff. But as a general person who has every goddamn system right now, just do not give a shit. What about you, Anthony? Your thoughts?
I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry.
You have every system but an Xbox One. At this point, do you honestly give a shit what platform a game comes out on?
Not. I mean, I still kind of care a little bit because right now I kind of. There were a couple times in the past month where I was thinking to myself, you know what? If I had an Xbox One right now, I would probably really like to play Forza Motorsport 5 or Forza Horizon. That would have been nice. Because all I have right now is for racing games is really just Mario Kart 8 and Drive Club. And they're both great, but I kind of feel like, man, I wish I had that Forza game. But other than that,
Target during Black Friday, if you factor in that gift card, you essentially got an Xbox One.
Yeah,
I was
kind of thinking about it,
like,
but I bought a PlayStation 4 because of the Destiny bundle, and I'm like, wow.
Like, I have some friends who want Xbox Ones, and I even thought about that bundle for a minute. Like, this would be a nice Christmas gift to hold over, like, to give them and never have to give them a gift for like 10 years.
Yeah, but do I really care? Well, between the PS4 and Xbox One, for the most part, not really. Yeah, I want my racing game, but hey, Dragon Age, I can buy on a PS4. Yeah, I can wait on the DLC. I usually don't buy DLC, so sure, you could keep your time exclusive on DLC. A lot of games are just kind of multi-platform these days, and right now, just not feeling it. If you were to put the Wii U into the conversation, yeah, I'm still gonna have to get a Wii U because obviously there's only one place that I can really enjoy, or one company that can enjoy Smash Brothers and Pokemon and Theater Rhythm and Mario Kart. So, but PS4 and Xbox PS4 and Xbox One, not really.
Yeah,
lots of multiplies. Like I even look at my 360 collection, and vast majority of them I could have bought on a PS3. If the PS3 had been my first system. And with my PS3 games, there are some exclusives. Like I can't get the Team Ico collection anywhere else. I can't get Yakuza anywhere else, or Uncharted, or Metal Gear 4. But yeah, in the case of 360, just noticed so many multiplats.
Yeah, like I look at my PS3 collection right now, and it's like, okay, exclusive, multiplat, exclusive, multiplat, exclusive, multiplat, exclusive, and it kind of goes like that. Like there's a string of like 7 or 8 multiplats to like one or two exclusives. Right now, my PS4 collection, I have 5 disc-based games. It's exclusive, multiplat, exclusive, multiplat, exclusive, multiplat. So because it kind of alternates, but that's only because the library right now is very limited.
Right. Cool. Any more news?
Let's see.
Well, we're gonna head into questions from like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, sorry guys. We at our recent meeting had to discuss scheduling because we've all been on. When we first made our meetings on Wednesday, it was perfect because everyone had that. Everyone was fine that night. But as time went on, we added new staff members, and then our schedules have changed. And we didn't change the meeting day, and it became more and more apparent that Wednesdays just weren't cutting it. So we got one question for Crate, from Crate, for Crate. And it says, a question for a concern I have lately, isn't the 50 gigabyte limit of Blu-ray holding back games? We had games like MGS4 take up full 50 gigabytes, and now these games have much more detailed textures, better graphics, meaning they take up more space, so is the disk space the bottleneck now? Not really, because, like, here's the thing, you look at a game like Last of Us now, it uses up 43 gigs, right? Last of Us Remastered. And that's a huge detailed game with a big world and a huge multiplayer component. You're like, wow, that game takes up a whole crap ton of space, and you would be right. But you could have multiple discs and install. Like we don't load from the disc anymore, except on Nintendo. They're the only one where we load from the disc at all. Everyone else is pretty much all loading off of
hard drives and patches.
Hard drives and patches.
And that's why when you first insert the game, it has to install a portion of the game.
Yeah, which
At
on
the
Xbox,
very least, yeah.
And on Xbox One, that experience is horrible versus on PS4 where it's fine.
It's really fast.
Yeah, like I told you, Anthony, you didn't believe me. And I was like, no, most installs don't take more than 5 minutes.
I feel like what they do is that they allocate that space and they install what is enough to get the game started. And as you play, it keeps copying in because there's no way like Blu-ray could copy 50 gigabytes in like 1 minute. I don't believe that because, you know, I've seen hard drives unable to copy 50 gigabytes in 1 minute. So, but surprisingly fast initial install time. Yep. But is it holding games back? Well, if you try to put if games get really huge, like imagine the next ultra detailed Elder Scrolls. Yeah, you're probably gonna have a disk space issue, but because so much stuff is being downloaded these days, and the fact that it is what you're buying as literally an install disk now, some tricks you can do. You can compress what's on the disk and decompress it when you install it into the hard drive.
Oh yeah, I remember fucking old PC games doing that. Sorry, I'm having a flashback.
It's fine. World of Warcraft did that. Because when I bought World of Warcraft, it was a single DVD, but I could tell that the DVD drive wasn't spinning very fast because it was spending a lot of its time decompressing everything for like what was it patch? It was some Wrath of the Lich King patch .3 or something.
Yeah, it was probably 3.3 would be my guess.
Yeah, and it was taking a while. Like you can compress. You can do what the Halo Chief Master Collection did, which is put the absolute essentials on the disc and download everything else. Yeah, so basically it's like the disc is holding what's barely enough for offline play. Yeah, at the worst. And yeah, there's multiple discs. And I don't think the PS4 disc drive supports this, but they're doing like Blu-ray XL, which can hold like 100 gigabytes or something like that.
Yeah, but the actual drive has to support it. I don't know if
which I don't think is the case.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the case.
I don't know, I can kind of see the reason for concern because look at a game like Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, when they come out with the next Grand Theft Auto, I mean, yeah, they fit the remastered version of Grand Theft Auto 5 on one Blu-ray, but obviously when they come out with Grand Theft Auto 6, it's going to look better than Grand Theft Auto 5, and then this was just a remastered, so Grand Theft Auto 6, they're going to build everything from the beginning again, and add brand new textures, much higher resolution.
Grand Theft Auto 5 was pretty interesting because they had you install some of the game into the hard drive, and the rest stays on the CD, because it reads from the hard drive and the disc at the same time. Which I think is a pretty clever way of, maximizing, whatever drive bandwidth you have.
Whatever devil hacked the devil they had to do to get that game to run on a PS3.
Do you remember when we first saw Grand Theft Auto 5, we were asking if it was a next-gen game?
Yeah, like that. You first, you see that game at first, you're just like, this is horseshit.
Because we saw a lot of Grand Theft Auto 4, and looking at GTA 4 today, just GTA 5 looks way better. And when we first saw it for the first time with all this traffic and all these people and how crisp the city looked, it was like, how's this possible?
I'm like, this has to be like exclusive to the next gen consoles. Okay.
And then we found out that we found out it can work on the PS3. Yes, it has barely tolerable frame rate, but it's possible.
I mean, it definitely had, that game has such bad frame rate issues playing it now.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah, there's bad texture popping, and there's even fucking worse frame rate problems. I was in a police chase in the rainstorm on the PS3 version. It's just like, oh, this is 17 frames per second.
The thing you would think that'd be gone in the remastered version, but the frame rate, there's still frame rate issues on PlayStation 4.
That's a real shame to hear.
That's interesting.
Because I have it, and don't get me wrong, it looks and plays a lot better that it did on PS3 and 360, but there's at times when you're in high speed chases or driving cars really fast, and you can see the frame rate drop.
Wow.
Yeah. But like I said, I don't think we'll see that with the next Grand Theft Auto. I think it's just the fact that, like I said, it might get to a certain point where there's only so much you can do with a game that's already built. Like, for them to fix and redesign, I don't know. Like, I don't know enough about the game design to know, but...
Well, not only that, but that was a pretty fast port, and it wasn't. They obviously haven't had a chance to optimize yet. So I don't know. Well, I think that the next Red Dead or whatever their next project is will probably be a lot more polished.
Oh, I want another Red Dead. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I loved Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That game is really good. I've actually been wanting to go back and play it. God, what I would kill to be a billionaire and have unlimited time. Because, there's so many games I want to go back and replay. It's just like, nope, you have to stay current because of the website. Not only do you have to stay current, there are games that you really want to play that you're playing right now. And I'm playing World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor all the time. I'm actually playing the Halo collection in the middle of this game. So... the middle of this podcast, sorry. I don't know. I think that as time goes on, I don't think tech is going to be what tech for the Blu-ray is going to hold us back. I think that these systems, the graphics cards, just aren't going to be able to keep up with what's on PC, and that's what makes us upgrade. And even then,
yeah.
I think the next generation of consoles is probably going to be what finally gets us over the edge.
Yeah, I think at that point we'll be past Blu-ray onto something else, especially with all this 4K coming out and stuff.
We could be past discs, but you never know. Because nowadays, though, the disc isn't really something that you read off of anymore. It's now just an install thing. Well, and even then, you've got huge patches, and if internet speeds somehow increase a substantial amount, the physical media may be gone,
I think they could. I mean, just an example, I recently moved to Irvine, and my download speed's about 65 megabit down and like 10 megabit up now. So I had the option. I could have went up to 150, but I don't see a need for it. There's no reason for me to pay extra money for it. But yeah, 65 megabits down and 15 up. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, so, I currently have like 50, maybe.
Yeah, I think we both have 50, Anthony, because we're both paying for the cheap package.
It's the cheap package.
Yeah, that's their low end.
That's pretty darn good for the cheap package.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Unless that quote cheap package isn't actually that cheap, and you're still paying a lot. But
I'm paying $42 a month.
That's pretty good. I just wish the upload speeds were better because 5 megabit is atrociously bad.
All right, well.
Or is it 3?
All right, well. So one thing I actually want to talk about real quick, as long as we brought up 4K, is I've been doing TV research and TV browsing because my HD TV it just had its 7th birthday as a model and its 6th birthday in my house. And, games don't look good, but they don't, I go look at the TV in the living room, which is that 24-inch LED, and I look at games on my computer monitor, and I'm like, things could look way better. Way, way better. So I've been like, and I know tax season is coming up, and I'm going to have a pretty good return, so I'm like, well, if I sell this TV, which currently I'm going to probably sell it for $250, I can probably get a really good TV relatively cheap. And man, let me tell you, never go TV shopping at a Walmart. Ever. It is the worst experience. Because I was in Walmart already to run some errands, like maybe get some groceries and stuff, some stuff for my car.
Bronson.
And some stuff for my car. I was like, well, I'm going to browse these TVs and get a general idea of what I want. Nothing had prices labeled. Half the TVs didn't have their specs labeled. And I'm like, dear God, this is horrible. And then they had these Vizio 4Ks for sale. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I kind of got to the point where I was just like, is it really that hard for me? Like, I'm looking probably for a Samsung or a Sony. 50 inches, 120 hertz, 1080p. That's kind of just my checklist. 3 HDMI ports, preferably 4. Like, I really wish I could just go, and I probably could, go to someone at Walmart and be like, this is my checklist, do you have this TV? No? Okay, you head to Best Buy. So
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, like that's, yeah, because I'm, and the fact that just they don't have prices really irritated me because I saw this Sony, and I was like, oh wow, that actually looks not too bad. Like the picture looked good. All the specs were right. It was about the right size. It might have been 49 inches instead of 50, but whatever.
I do have to say though, as far as like PC shopping goes, so when Bryce and I went Black Friday shopping, close to midnight, but thankfully there was no crazy people because they were all shopping at 6 p.m. instead of 11 p.m. TVs everywhere. TVs everywhere. Like piles of stuff everywhere, and I don't know if it was because they overstocked or it's because everyone already had their TVs after fighting for one 3 years ago, but TVs everywhere, game consoles everywhere. There's a giant mountain of Destiny PS4 bundles. There's a giant mountain of Xbox bundles. There's still a giant pile of Wii U bundles. You could still find almost everything that you're looking for. And it was kind of like the same case at the local GameStop that we went to afterwards. A lot of things were still in stock. Kind of shocking, but probably a good thing because that night wasn't too crazy.
Yeah, wasn't that bad. We got caught. Like the worst line was at Starbucks, which I found funny.
Yeah,
everyone needs
Friday.
Hey, everyone needs their coffee at like freaking 1 in the morning.
At that hour, I desperately needed my coffee.
That peppermint coffee, pretty
fucking
good.
Peppermint mochas are the best, right? They're so
it's
fucking
like
good.
I took a sip and I'm like, wow, this is peppermint.
I told you, so good, so damn good. I don't know. I think that's like I have a regular routine for Starbucks. Like I have a regular drink. When it's the summer, it's just a regular mocha and a piece of lemon pound cake. During the fall, it's that. Occasionally, I'll switch to pumpkin spice. And during the winter, it's peppermint mocha, lemon pound cake. That's just kind of how I roll. I don't experiment with their menu too much. I know what I like. Nick, what's your preferred drink at Starbucks? Drink and food.
They're mocha frappuccinos.
Those are good.
And their morning buns are amazing.
Right on. I know a friend of mine who I work with, she really digs the caramel macchiato.
Those are good too.
Yeah. Anthony, what's your preference at Starbucks?
I don't actually have much of a Starbucks, but there's like this cold mocha frappuccinos. For some reason, I just chug it so fast. It's gone.
I did not start going to fucking Starbucks until my current job. Like, that's the thing. Like, because when I was working at AT&T, they had like a break room with a soda machine and Mountain Dew, and that was fine for when I needed a caffeine fix. But on the way to work, I have 3 chances at Starbucks. Because I go to pick my friend up, and then there's a Starbucks on the way there, 2 in fact, and then there's 1 Starbucks on the way to work, or possibly 2 depending on the route I take. And I was worried, and during the busy season I worked 12-hour shifts, so during that shit I was getting a coffee every other day there.
Yeah, when I was working back in Hollywood, I was spending, no joke, when I was looking at how much money I was spending on Starbucks a month, that's when I decided to stop. There was months I was spending, for about 3 months straight, I was spending over $200 a month just on Starbucks.
Yeah, there was a 3-week period when I was working all that overtime where I was spending, I think it was like $20 to $30 a week on Starbucks. I was just like, this shit needs to stop. So now I have a rule where at most I go twice a week. At most, that is my rule. That is the most Starbucks I allow myself is twice a week.
Because every single day I'd get a frappuccino and then I'd get like a morning bun, and you're talking about $7-8 a day.
Well, yeah, because you get that large coffee, and that right there is $5, and then you get whatever you want to eat, which is 2 to 4, sometimes more. So yeah, like it adds up damn quick. You don't think that like, oh, Starbucks, this is just one coffee, right? Well, $5 over 7 days. Like I don't know.
Cool.
And I partially blame the friend I worked with for this because she is a coffee fiend.
Here's the thing, here's the thing I personally think about like coffee. Like, believe it or not, I actually in my lifetime have bought more coffee from Einstein Brothers than Starbucks because they have shorter lines. And I remember I bought a hot vanilla hazelnut latte. I think that was what it was. I think that costed me $6.50 or $7, and I just thought to myself, "Wow, I could have a really nice lunch right now."
Yeah,
just for this one cup of coffee, I could have myself a full-on meal at Steak and Shake or any decent food place for that matter.
Yeah, there comes that point also where you're like, I paid $7 for a cup of coffee and a piece of cake. $7 at some places to get me a massive meal. There is that point where you're like, one thing I will say that kind of kept me going to Starbucks though was that damn rewards card. Like, you get points and you get free coffee, man. And you get free coffee on your birthday. Anything you get one free item from the menu on your birthday. So I mean, I like Starbucks as a company though. Like that, they are.
Oh, did you hear what they're? We don't want to talk about too much about Starbucks, but I will leave it with this. Did you hear what they're starting with? Where they're going to have a service where you can have Starbucks delivered to you?
Oh God!
I'm sure it's going to be.
That sounds more expensive.
Of course. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to warn a friend of mine, or she's gonna die or be poor. One of the two.
Yeah. Starbucks is doing something where, like, people who, let's say they're at work and they want a coffee at their desk, that they'll have Starbucks delivered to them.
I'm gonna be honest.
But it's probably they'll probably charge like $6 or $7 just for the delivery, though.
But yeah, like that's the thing. I was like, Bronson, like, how much we paid like a reasonable amount of money to have our stuff delivered and to tip the driver, right? Yeah, like the pizza, like the Pizza Hut. And
well,
that's pizza.
Delivery from pizza places, they usually charge like $2.50, $3. So who knows?
But there's a burger place that delivers right by me that charges, I think it's $2.50.
Yeah, so maybe they'll charge more reasonable, like $2.50, $3. But the difference is when you're buying a $5 cup of coffee versus a $15 pizza, that $2.50 ends up being a lot more.
I'll say this: I kind of want to do that at work though. Have Starbucks delivered to me. Like, I think that'd be really funny. My boss would probably be allowed if I got them some coffee. So I'm considering this now. If we get
I don't know if they've started it now, but I read something about it. But anyways, enough about Starbucks.
Yeah. This generation, their obsession with coffee. What the hell?
I don't know where that started either. I
understand. Like, it used to be when I was really little, the people who drink coffee every single morning were like, older people or like senior citizens, right? And I'm like, oh, because that's what I got used to. I would see my grandpa drink coffee in the morning. It makes sense. And now I see our entire generation started off with energy drinks, and then it became coffee.
Well, yeah, because if you bring an energy drink to your work meeting, you look like a fucking crazy person.
Yeah, but it's like for me, when we were at E3, I didn't have any coffee or energy drinks. I just ran on 100% pure natural sleep.
I read on red lines.
I don't know. Man, that was... Oh, man.
I ran on
You bought that every morning.
I ran on mochas and Coca-Cola. And whatever we had in our bag, which was... we had Yeah, we ran out of Gatorade really quick on that trip. Like we just next time I'm considering just buying cases of Gatorade.
Yeah, if it fits. If it fits.
Well, yeah.
Well, the thing was that when we kind of ran out, there was also a lot in the trunk because we had a cooler in the car, but we threw some of it in the trunk too.
Well, like even then though, like we ran out of Gatorade way faster.
Well, I didn't chug them all, so who did?
Well, yeah, it was Nick, Brevin, and I. That was and obviously Brevin and I because it was in our fridge. But I'm saying like we had tons of Coke and other sodas left at the end of that trip. We did not have a single fucking Gatorade or a single Kool-Aid left. So I'm saying next time we are most
ditch the soda, bring the Gatorade.
Bring the Gatorade and the Kool-Aid, and it's cheaper that way too.
Yeah, just forget the sodas.
Like I'll probably bring one case of soda just for the sake of variety.
Just one case. Because let's be honest, soda is not what you want when you're thirsty.
Yeah. I will say next year we definitely need to book a hotel with a fridge again. That saved us a small fortune.
Yeah, it saves us a lot of hassle because every hotel has ice, but you kind of don't want to do the ice run every morning either.
Well, yeah, you have to do the ice run every morning, and then there's the fact that just, some stuff, like we had sandwich meat, which that would have been fine on ice, but it's not the way you want to do it. A fridge in a hotel room is a fucking blessing. Mini fridges in hotel rooms are the best. I didn't actually have one on my second trip to Seattle. That really bummed me out because that means I had to eat food.
Yeah, I've been to more hotels that don't have fridges. The funny thing is, usually the expensive hotels do not have them. It's the more affordable hotels that do.
Some of the expensive hotels, like I stayed at the MGM Grand one time, they have a fridge, but they have a code on it, so you have to pay extra for the fridge.
Yeah.
How much is the question? Because
it's like some price per night.
Like, at that point, I have to calculate what's cheaper, me going out all the time or me using this fridge. So...
Yeah, the fridge would probably be eating at the expensive buffet.
Yeah, or, having to go out and, get food from wherever. Yeah, man, I don't know. That is such a minor thing when booking a hotel, but I always, call the hotel and ask, do you have a fridge? Unless I just have to book that specific hotel without it, I always ask if there's a fridge. It is, what's really weird is some places have microwaves but not fridges. That is so weird to me.
Well, you bring home takeout.
Way off topic here.
You bring back takeout, so you need to heat it.
So, anyways, anything else before we close out the show?
We're all out of questions, right?
Yeah, we're all out of questions. Oh, man.
Alright, well, thank you guys for listening to Unscripted Access, episode number 111. We appreciate you all for listening. Some of you guys may be traveling soon. I know I'll be traveling next Wednesday, so if you're traveling, please have safe travels.
And some of you might be like me and hate the majority of your family and live in the same town as them, so have fun trying to avoid them all winter.
Alright, guys, we are out. Thank you guys for listening. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.